I want to give you a really dumb hypothetical scenario here. Suppose you don't value money at all, and you just care about immediate gratification. You're with your friends, and you're all out to dinner at this pizzeria. You see one of your friends eating a really good pizza pie. This pie is 18 inches. Your friend says, "I'll let you have my pizza if you give me $100. Of course, you say, wait a second, I'm out here. I give you $100 for an 18-inch cheese pizza? Absolutely not. That is an insane trade offer." Then, 3 minutes later, the server brings your other friend a 12-inch cheese pizza. Keep in mind that this is the exact same pizza, but it is smaller and is obviously a significantly worse value. Also keep in mind that this is not like Pizza Hut, where there actually is a difference, where the personal pans taste heavenly and their actual large pies taste like garbage. The 12-inch cheese and the 18-inch cheese taste exactly the same, look exactly the same, and sit in your stomach exactly the same. So you tell your friend, "I'll give you $100 if I can have your 12-inch pizza." That raises, oh no, a billion questions. You just said no to the deal where you give up $100 and get an 18-inch pizza. And now you're taking a deal immediately after that is significantly worse and where you get significantly less value, all while giving up the same price? Well, I bring that up because the man you're watching right now is the second man that the San Diego Chargers took in that infamous 1998 draft class of theirs, Michael Ricks. Of course, the first pick in the draft was Washington State quarterback Ryan Leaf, a man that they acquired by giving up a fair amount of draft capital. And of course, this pick did not work out in the slightest bit. Leaf became one of the biggest busts in NFL history, and according to many, is the biggest bust of all time, seeing as he won just 4 games as the Chargers starting quarterback while throwing 13 touchdowns and 33 interceptions and being an immature idiot. But at least that pick was excusable. Many people had Leaf as a highly touted prospect, and if you think you have your franchise quarterback, you do whatever it takes to get it, even if the price might be a bit steep. The pick of this man right here, Michael Ricks, it truly might be the dumbest pick in Chargers history, and is a pick so bad that it deserves a deep dive nearly 3 decades later. Because to say that legendary general manager Bobby Bethard had lost a couple thousand steps by this point was putting it lightly. Because this is the story behind what might just be, no exaggeration, the dumbest trade in NFL draft history. And the time that the Chargers didn't understand object permanence. Make sure you hit that like button down below, subscribe, hype up that video, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss a single video that we post on the channel. Because we post every single day on here about the weird and the wacky history of the NFL with stories like this one that you may not have heard of before. So if you like that sort of stuff, then this is definitely the place for you. Thanks in advance for liking and subscribing, and for hyping up the video, and for helping us grow this community. And with that in mind, let's talk about the time that the Chargers drafted Ricks and made all of their fans sick. But before I talk about the actual trade in question and how bad it turned out to be, and before I talk about the man you'll be watching this entire time in Michael Ricks, we need some context to understand Bobby Bethard's thought process in general. Bethard did not like having first-round picks. In fact, Bobby Bethard avoided first-round picks like the main character in Green Eggs and Ham initially avoided green eggs and ham. He would not use them in DC. He would not use them in Cali. He would not use them on a train. He would not use them on a plane. Bobby Bethard was a general manager for 22 years, serving in Washington from 1978 to 1988 and serving in San Diego from 1990 to 2000. Across those 22 years, Bethard had just 8 first-round picks, including Ryan Leaf. For the most part, if Bethard stayed in the first round, it worked. He drafted 3 Hall of Famers with those 8 first-round picks, including Art Monk, Darrell Green, and Junior Seau. But usually, Bethard would trade those first-round picks in the future for second-round picks in this year's draft, believing that it was more valuable to have a second-round pick now than have a first-round pick in the future, because you were ahead on the timetable by a year. Now, in his defense, back then, there was no rookie wage scale, so rookies taken in the first round could make absurd amounts of money, could destroy your salary cap, and could be a pain in the butt to sign. Today, training camp holdouts are the exception to the rule, but back then, count your blessings if your first-round pick didn't miss a second of training camp. There were teams who intentionally bypassed better players in the draft just because they knew that the player they were taking would be easier to sign, and they wouldn't have to worry about a holdout. And I suppose this strategy isn't the worst if you're a good team and you're acquiring a high second-round pick. If you think you're picking in the 20s every year, and you get a player in the 30s, and you just keep kicking that can down the road and do it to save money and help your long-term roster construction and salary cap management, it does make some sense. Now today, this strategy sucks. And if you're trading your future first-round pick for a second-round pick in an era with the rookie wage scale and the 5th-year option, you need to seek help immediately. But Bethard used this strategy because it worked in that era, and he used it to win multiple Super Bowls with Washington and guide San Diego to their first and, to date, only Super Bowl appearance in franchise history. So, who am I to question one of the greatest general managers of all time? Bottom line, that was Bethard's strategy. Trade future firsts to acquire current seconds. Get that instant gratification now instead of gambling on a player down the road who might be of equal talent, but who will cost more money and who you'll have to wait on. And other general managers around the league weren't dumb. They knew that Bobby Bethard was of that instant gratification mindset. They knew the game that he played. They knew that if you dangled a current draft pick in front of him, that he would jump at it like a cat following a laser. Other teams knew that if they wanted to get high draft capital in future drafts, all they needed to do was go to Bobby Bethard and a deal would be done. So, 3 days before the draft, the Carolina Panthers called the San Diego Chargers, with the Panthers proposing that the Chargers give up their future first-round pick in 2000. And in return, the Panthers would give up the 44th pick in the draft in 1998, as in their second-round pick. Remember that the Chargers already gave up their first-round pick in 1999 and gave that to the Arizona Cardinals so they could trade up and get Ryan Leaf. So the Panthers would give up their second-round pick in 1998, and in return, the Chargers would give up their first-round pick in 2000. But amazingly enough, Bobby Bethard showed restraint. Amazingly enough, Bobby Bethard wasn't taking the bait and was not going to make that trade with the Panthers. You want me to give up a first-round pick in 2000 and all you're giving me is the 44th pick? Surely I can get a better offer than that. You're lowballing me. And if Bethard wasn't going to get that offer from another team, he was going to make that offer himself. He was going to be proactive and get a better offer for that first-round pick in 2000. So on draft day, feeling insulted by the Panthers' offer of the 44th pick for a first-rounder in 2000, Bobby Bethard decided to call up the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and offer a different proposal for that pick. Bethard's proposal was that the Chargers would give the Buccaneers a first-round pick in 2000. And in return, the Buccaneers would give the Chargers their second-round pick in 1998, which happened to be the 59th pick in the draft. Yes, you heard that right. No, I did not leave out any details or omit anything or change the story. Bobby Bethard was insulted by the Panthers' offer of a first-round pick for pick 44 straight up. And right after that, he was so insulted that he called up the Buccaneers himself and offered up a first-round pick for pick number 59, as in a pick that was 15 picks worse than what was initially being offered. The Buccaneers, who were flabbergasted by this offer that Bethard and the Chargers were proposing, seeing as they knew about the failed Carolina trade from earlier, immediately accepted and thanked the Chargers for an absolute gift that seemingly came out of nowhere. As Rich McKay, the general manager of the Buccaneers, said on this, "We did not anticipate this." Understatement of the century right there. McKay continued, saying, "Bill Devaney, the Chargers director of player personnel, called, and after he said we were their favorite team, he asked if we'd be interested, and we said we would. It was a simple decision, and one that it didn't take a long time to think about." Yeah, I can imagine it didn't take that long to think about. You get a first-round pick in the future from a team that absolutely sucked, and you're giving up a pick at the tail end of the second round? Where do I sign? McKay then pretended that this was a fair trade, as he added, "Bethard will get the player now, and if he's right about the guy he drafted, he's got him for 2 years, and the player is productive for him. Obviously, there's a trade-off here. We're going 2 years without that player at pick number 59. But you knew that as soon as McKay was done flattering Bethard and telling the press how this was a win-win, that he was laughing like a madman and smiling like a giddy schoolgirl. And again, I am not criticizing Bethard for using a strategy that might have made some sense at the time given the context, and for using a strategy that worked well for him and made him a Hall of Fame general manager that won some Super Bowls. Bethard trading first-round picks in the future for second-round picks today was just another day that ended in Y. It was a complete non-story, and we see teams do this all the time today, albeit not in the first round, but we see it happen where they'll trade a future fifth-round pick to get a sixth-round pick in this year's draft. But it's the fact that he took a trade that was objectively, in every possible way, worse. You had a chance to get the 44th pick. You rejected it. And then immediately after, you ended up getting the 59th pick with the same terms you would have gotten the 44th pick from. Bobby Bethard in 1998 might have legitimately been the world's worst negotiator. I'd hate to have him as my lawyer. And maybe this would be forgotten about if the man Bethard selected was actually good. Alas, he was not. Because the man you've been watching this entire time is Michael Ricks, as in the man that Bethard spent the 59th pick in the draft on. I had to dig for these highlights because to say that they're few and far between would be putting it lightly. First off, Ricks was an insane pick to begin with, even if they didn't trade anything, seeing as the man went to Stephen F. Austin, a school in Division I AA, and the man had already had operations done on both of his knees. So already, right off the bat, you had 7,000 bajillion red flags. And Ricks did nothing with the Chargers, as they released the man in October 2000, not even 3 full seasons into his tenure with the Chargers, after he caught 73 passes for 914 yards and 2 touchdowns. 73 for 914 is not a bad season by any means. If that's your entire career and you're a second-round pick, that is abysmal. The man did nothing with San Diego. For what it's worth, if the Chargers got the 44th pick instead of the 59th pick, guys that they could have taken there that they could not have taken with the 59th pick include three-time Pro Bowl cornerback Patrick Surtain, All-Pro cornerback Samari Rolle, Pro Bowl tight end Steven Alexander, cornerback Brian Kelly, who led the NFL in 2002 in interceptions and helped the Buccaneers win the Super Bowl, and wide receiver Joe Jurevicius, among others. None of those guys were on the board at pick number 59 that would have been there at pick number 44. And I think the Chargers regretted their decision. As for the Buccaneers, that first-round pick that they acquired from the Chargers ended up being used in the trade to acquire New York Jets wide receiver Keyshawn Johnson. And he played a big part in helping the Buccaneers win the Super Bowl in a game that, oddly enough, was played in San Diego. So, good job, Bobby Bethard. You rejected a trade package to take a significantly worse trade package, drafted a red flag player, left tons of other guys on the board that would have been there if you took the objectively better offer, including a tight end that was way more highly touted and ended up having a way better career in the NFL, and you helped build a Super Bowl team in the process for a completely different franchise. This has to be the worst trade in the history of the NFL draft, just from a thought process standpoint. Yes, there have been way worse trades at the draft from a results standpoint, but at least there was some logical reasoning that you could apply and vaguely follow, even if you didn't agree with it. Here, rejecting a better package to take a worse package just doesn't add up. Nothing about the late 90s Chargers adds up. Nothing about Bobby Bethard's abysmal final years as a general manager add up. And nothing about the move to acquire the man you've been watching this entire time in Michael Ricks add up. This is like being at a blackjack table and hoping that you get an 18 instead of a 21. This is like being at Disney World and hoping that the line to a ride you really like is an hour instead of 30 minutes. Nothing about this makes any sense. Because if the 1998 NFL Draft, when they called up the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the San Diego Chargers charged the dumbest price. Check out our live streaming schedule for the next few days. We're live every single day on this channel, whether we're covering a sporting event or playing GeoGuessr or just taking your requests. So make sure you like and subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss a single time that we go live and so that you can join this community. Also, thanks to all our members and our Patreon supporters who get exclusive perks like their name at the end of each video, members-only Q&A streams, and cool emojis to use on videos and during streams. See how you can join this community and become a member or a Patreon member by clicking the link in the description below.